In the last few years, Hyundai has produced some brilliant vehicles. I got to spend a week with the 2016 Genesis and was really impressed, and after spending some time in the back seat of an Equus at an auto show, it proved that it truly was a competitive luxury vehicle. The difficulty is, as these cars gain more and more features to be competitive in the luxury car marketplace, the price rises. People have a hard time fathoming paying $70,000 for a Hyundai. That is where Genesis comes in. For 2017, Genesis is no longer a car made by Hyundai, but a separate luxury brand. Think about Lexus and Toyota, for instance. Lexus has been around only since 1989, and they've established a name for themselves in the luxury car market. Genesis hopes to do the same here. Today, we're driving their flagship model, the Genesis G90. That's the replacement for the Equus, and the G80 is the replacement for the Hyundai Genesis before it. The South Korean company wants to make everything easy for the buyers. That's why there's only 2 engine options, 6 color choices, and an option of all-wheel drive. There's no options in terms of speaker upgrades or in-seat entertainment or heads-up display. It all comes standard, and that's part of the reason why the base price of the G90 is all the way up to $68,000. Its purpose is to compete with the Audi A8, Lexus LS, BMW 7 Series, and Mercedes S-Class. But does it have the luxury and the features to compete? Let's find out. The model we're in right now has a 3.3-liter twin-turbocharged V6, making 365 horsepower and 376 pound-feet of torque. It's finished in Casablanca white, one of the 6 color options, and this has the option of all-wheel drive because we are in Michigan and it's 10 degrees out right now. For $1,600 more, you've got the optional 5-liter V8 that makes 420 horsepower. It also comes with heated and cooled rear seats, whereas these ones are just heated, as well as power seats in the back so that you can recline and adjust them. Size-wise, this is just an 1.5 inches shorter than a Mercedes S-Class. It actually has more interior volume than the S-Class does. It feels like a big vehicle when you're driving it on the road. The windowsill is very high up, and you kind of feel like you're in a bunker rolling along the road. The interior is very nice. It feels like it's borrowing elements, and it is, from BMW, Audi, Lexus, and Mercedes. There's hints of their design language all throughout the cabin. But it comes together in a way that seems to me like Genesis didn't really figure out their own design language. There's so many different stylistic elements coming together in this kind of crazy combination that doesn't work quite right. I come into this car and my opinions change every single time. The first time I stepped in, I said, wow, this is impressive. The second time I stepped in, I thought, wow, there's a lot of parts that are borrowed from cars like the Hyundai Sonata. The third time it was impressive, and then I was confused again. Overall, it's nice, but they could do better. We do have a 12.3-inch touchscreen in the front, like the Mercedes S-Class. We've got power soft close doors, even wireless charging. One of the things I like about this car is there's actually a convenient space for your phone. As phones get bigger and bigger, it seems that car manufacturers aren't keeping up with the rest of technology. The Volvo S90 I just tested didn't have any space to put an iPhone 7 Plus. You could put it in this weird crooked manner that sometimes it would fall on the ground, but there was nothing designed for people with bigger phones. There's a perfect slot for wireless charging on devices that are capable of doing so. In the back, we've got plenty of space. It's a very executive style seating experience with the large center console in the back with climate controls and the works. It looks actually like something straight out of an Audi A8 W12, which I imagine they took a look at that when they came up with the styling. These seats don't move. On the V8 model they do, but you've still got plenty of space. The seats are very comfortable. The styling is nice. It almost reminds me a bit of Bentley in terms of the styling, but I think they've done a good job there. The 17-speaker Lexicon sound system is a little bit disappointing. It feels too distant, especially compared to the S90. With that speaker system, the Mark Levinson, it was so much better. The G90 does have features that I absolutely love. It's got a colored heads-up display. It's telling me how fast I'm going right now, along with the speed limit, and giving me some guidelines to let me know about the lane keep assist feature. The self-driving lane keep assist on the G90 is very advanced, and it works without having to activate it. When you're on the freeway, the car takes the wheel slightly and makes sure you stay within the lines without actually having to activate the system, and I really like that. It does provide a lot of resistance if you try to torque the wheel to the side to do your own inputs, but overall, it lasts a long time and it works very well. The system is activated now, driving me along, and there we go, staying within the lines. One thing that lane keep assist systems aren't that good at is keeping you in the center of the lane. They're good at reading the lines, but it almost feels like you're bouncing from line to line so that it knows where it is on the road. And to be honest, at nighttime, it kind of looks like you're drunk driving, and that's not what you want to portray as an image to a police officer behind you. I've noticed a lot of times in vehicles I've been in with lane keep assist that if I see cops around me, I turn it off because it does sway side to side. This system does not. It keeps you true right to the center of the lane and works very well. Let's talk about pricing, because that's what makes the G90 so appealing. This is a $70,000 car. If you want similar features on a Mercedes S-Class, you're talking about $125,000. Almost twice as much. On a Lexus, which is lower end in terms of price than the BMW and the Mercedes, you can take a step up from the Genesis to go to the Lexus LS all-wheel drive long wheelbase. That's about $100,000 for similar options. I like those vehicles more, the Mercedes, the BMW, the Audi, and the Lexus, than the Genesis, but you can't deny that there is a bargain. 70 grand versus 125, there's a lot of things you could buy for that remaining 55 grand. Let's talk about exterior styling. There's something about these high-end sedans that look expensive and elegant, because they are expensive and elegant. When you're paying 125 grand for a sedan, you don't want it to be gaudy and overly showy, but you do want it to look classy and expensive. This doesn't really do that. The overall shape looks kind of like a rectangle with rounded edges. They've got the large grille in the front, which most of the manufacturers are going towards, Lexus, Audi. It just doesn't quite work right on the G90. I thought the proportions of the 2016 Genesis were very nice, but now that they've made it bigger and more bulbous, I don't think the styling comes together that well. Especially from the side, it's just boring. There's only one wheel option. It's standard, the ones on the vehicle right now. They're okay, but I think with some better wheel options, they could make the car look better. The driving experience is really relaxing in the G90. It's very isolated from the outside. That's thanks to acoustic glass, a lot of insulation, and noise-reducing wheels. You don't hear much road noise, any wind. It's freezing outside, it's windy, but I wouldn't know. The steering is very light, it's comfortable to drive. However, it doesn't have the driving dynamics that the S-Class or the Audi or the BMW have. They're very comfortable to drive, but when you put those in sport mode, they have characteristics of their performance cars, something that Genesis doesn't have. They're fun to drive in sport mode, and that's crazy for sedans that weigh well over 4,000 pounds. The G90 has an 8-speed automatic transmission. It has paddle shifters mounted on the steering wheel, which confuse me. They're very plasticky, they make strange noises when you click them, and their response time is absolutely terrible, especially compared to its German rivals. I think they should have gone without the paddles because the actual response of the transmission when you mash the throttle is pretty decent. The twin-turbo V6 pulls smoothly up to its 6,500 RPM redline, and 0 to 60 in the low 5-second range is pretty good for a car of this size. I do like the G90, but I feel like their designers need to become more mature. Instead of just borrowing elements from a bunch of different cars, I think they need to develop their own stylistic elements that flow together nicely. Yes, this has all the features, although surprisingly it doesn't have massaging seats or optional rear seat entertainment, but they don't come together nearly as well done as its German and Japanese rivals do. Obviously, it's a new luxury company, so they've got a lot of time to mature. But if they want to develop quickly and really take over the luxury car market in that category a step below in terms of price than its rivals, they need to work on their design, especially the exterior, because I'm not a fan of the way it looks. That being said, if you're looking for something that ticks all the boxes in terms of features, that's nice in the inside and comfortable to drive for 70 grand, this is a pretty damn good deal. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like always, please browse our channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.